Jai Gurudev. Good. Meditation was good. Let's read page 274. Who's going to begin?
Vasistha continued. Such is the nature of the Supreme Being, which is the infinite consciousness. They who are endowed with macrocosmic forms, like Brahma, the Creator, Vishnu and Shiva, are established in that Supreme Being, and they function here as the lords or kings of the world. Established in it, the perfected ones roam the heavens. Having attained it, one does not die, nor does one grieve. The sage who dwells, even for the twinkling of an eye, in that pure being, which is of the nature of illimitable and infinite consciousness, and which is also known as Supreme Self, is not again afflicted, even though he continues to engage himself in the activities of this world.
Okay, so this is a continuation from last week. Yeah, he's just ending what he was talking about last week. He was describing the infinite consciousness, and here he says that Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, all these energies which are of the higher form, which dwell in the higher realms, they are perfected and they roam about in the higher realms, but they are also inside this infinite consciousness. So even if they have perfected, they still are a part of this infinite consciousness. And one who wants to attain this infinite consciousness should strive for perfection. Yeah? One who perfects this, what happens to him? He does not die, nor does he grieve. The sage who dwells even for the twinkling of an eye in that pure being, which is of the nature of the illimitable and infinite consciousness, and which is also known as the Supreme Self, is not again afflicted, even though he continues to engage himself in the activities of the world. So here directly he is telling you how you should lead your life. Yeah? If you want to strive for any kind of perfection, this is the perfection one should strive for. Yeah? To attain that highest realm of consciousness, to get out of the cycle of birth and death of this physical body. Yeah? And once you attain that, you do not grieve. So what does this mean? This means that even though you will remain in the physical body till the karma exhausts of this particular body, whatever activities you do, yeah, they will all be at the periphery. Nothing will affect your core, your center. You will not be shaken by grief. Yeah, there will be no major excitement when there is sukha, and there won't be any depression when there is dukkha. Yeah, that sambhava will be your nature. Yeah, it does not mean that this world, this samsara of people, situations and things suddenly will become all goody-goody and nice, and there will be no dukkha. No. This is a misunderstanding. People who didn't have the real experience even created songs out of this misunderstanding. Yeah, there is that old song, no? आंचल के तुझे मैं लेके चलूँ ऐसे गगन के तले जहाँ गम ही न हो आंसू भी न हो बस प्यार ही प्यार पले. Very nice, very filmy. Yeah, but really it does not mean that there will not be anybody who will cause dukkha to you. These people will be there, these situations will be there, but you will be so centered that you are not affected by them. Yeah? So even if you want to believe in that song, believe it from this angle, that I will not get affected by that. Yeah? There is no real Gagan out there where there is no dukkha. So don't imagine some realm of existence where there will not be the so-called demons in your life. Yeah? The biggest demon is our own ego. We carry that demon with us. We came out of the pool of consciousness with that demon, and that with that demon only we will go back. So remember that. And that is the only demon we have to really overcome, our own ego. Clear? Yeah. First paragraph, we have discussed similar knowledge before. Yeah, so it's pretty clear. We can read ahead now, Rajesh.
Rama asked, when the mind, the intellect, and the ego sense have all ceased to function, how does that pure being or infinite consciousness appear here? Vasistha continued, Brahman dwells in all bodies and experiences, eats, drinks, speaks, gathers and destroys, but is free from the division of consciousness and its awareness. That which is omnipresent and which is without beginning and end, and which is pure, unmodified, undifferentiated being, that is known as existence, Vastu Tattvam, or reality. That exists as space in space, as sound in sound, as touch in touch, as skin in skin, in taste as taste, in form as form, in the eyes as sight, in smell as smell, in scent as scent, in the body as strength, in earth as the earth, in milk as milk, in wind as wind, in fire as fire, in intelligence as intelligence, in mind as mind, in the ego sense as ego sense. It rises as citta or chitta or mind in the mind. It is tree in tree. It is immobility in the immobile and mobility in the moving beings. It is the insentience in the insentient and intelligence in the sentient. It is the divinity of gods and humanity in human beings. In animals, it is bestial nature, and in worms, it is wormhood. It is the very essence of time and the seasons. It is dynamism in action and order in order. It is existence in existent and death in the perishable. It is childhood, youth and age, and also death. It is undivided and indivisible, for it is the very essence of all things. Diversity is unreal, though it is real in the above sense, that the diversity is conceived of and pervaded by the infinite consciousness. Realize, all this is pervaded by me, for I am omnipresent and devoid of body and such other limitation, and dwell in peace and supreme happiness. Valmiki said, as the sage Vasistha said this, the day came to an end and the assembly dispersed for their evening prayers.
Okay. So Rama's question is very pertinent. He says, when the mind goes away, when the intellect goes away, when ego is no more, all this have ceased to function, then how does that pure being or infinite consciousness appear? Yeah. He's almost saying that this space is here. Yeah. In this space there is, for you, there is Ekta, there is a marker, and there is this glass. Yeah. Now, he's saying the mind goes away, the intellect goes away, yeah, and this ego sense goes away, yeah, and everything associated with that physical body also goes away. So imagine I'm also gone, but there is still space. Yeah, that consciousness is in everything. It is not that you have just this body, mind, intellect, ego, memory. Yeah, there is more. The container in which all this body, mind, intellect, memory, ego exists, that container is the consciousness. It is the space. Yeah. That is what is very difficult for Rama to understand here right now. That is his question. So Vasistha is explaining that to him in detail. Brahman dwells in all bodies and experiences the experiences. He eats, drinks, speaks, gathers and destroys, but is free from the division of consciousness and its awareness. That which is omnipresent and which is without beginning and end, and which is pure, unmodified, undifferentiated being, that is known as existence or Vastu Tattvam or reality. What is Vastu Tattvam? You've heard about Vastu Shastra. What is that?
So state.
That is the nature of the niyati of a blade of grass to be like that, and a sand to be like that, and things like that, whatever the way they are supposed to be. Vastu Tattvam, I thought. Is it Vastu Tattvam or Vastu Tattvam?
Vastu. So it's not Vastu as an object, it's Vastu. So
Vastu? Oh, I understood as Vastu Tattvam.
yeah, okay. It's not got to do with objects.
Okay.
Architecture.
Architecture, okay. Yeah. What is the basis also of your architecture, Vastu Shastra that you're talking about? The basis, understand, is just the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, ether, air. Everything in this universe is a permutation and combination of earth, water, fire, ether, air. Yeah. So, particular objects, I'm explaining Vastu Shastra now. Particular objects or particular directions might have an increased percentage of fire, and if you try to put water there, it works well. Yeah, it brings the fire down. But if a particular direction has very little fire and you put water in that direction, that puts off the fire. Yeah, it takes life away from there. And that is where they say that you shouldn't put certain things in certain directions, because that element gets suppressed, or if a particular element is dominant over the other, it kills the other element. So it is just a play of elements that is taken into consideration in Vastu Shastra. That is the basic crux of it. Yeah. The similar thing is Vastu Tattvam. Yeah. This entire existence is just earth, water, fire, ether, air. Just like you understand these things in Vastu Shastra, in these particular directions or particular objects in the house, this entire universe has its own reality. The essence of this entire creation is Vastu Tattvam. Yeah. And every creation of this Vastu Tattvam has a different expression. Yeah, like if you go to any other planet like Mars or Venus, you will not be able to live there, because you will not be able to breathe over there. There is no oxygen. Oxygen is only on planet Earth. So every combination of earth, water, fire, ether, air produced its own effect. Yeah? And the combined sum total of all the effects of the entire creation is Vastu Tattvam. Yeah? It's reality. It's the essence of existence. Yeah? So let's read that paragraph again. He's saying Brahman dwells in all the bodies and experiences the experiences. So even in your earth, water, fire, ether, air, and the interaction between the different elements, who is really experiencing it? If air becomes really forceful and puts off fire, who's experiencing the fire go away? It is the Brahman consciousness. Who is putting the fire away? It is the Brahman consciousness. So the Brahman consciousness experiences the experiences. It eats, drinks, sleeps, speaks, gathers, destroys. But it is free from division of consciousness. Though you and I understand earth, water, fire, ether, air, that is just an expression of Brahman consciousness. Yeah? And Brahman, from the perspective or from the level of Brahman consciousness, it is all one. There is no separate earth or water or ether or air, yeah, or fire. But we see it separately. So this division of consciousness does not exist. It is just illusionary. That which is omnipresent and which is without beginning and end. Yeah? Just like this space, you tell me, where does this space begin? Can you point a particular place where space begins? Can you point a particular place where space ends? Just like that, very similar to how space is. Yeah? We cannot point out where space begins and ends. We can point out where air will stop. There's a particular atmosphere for planet Earth. Beyond that, you will not experience any air. It's vacuum out there in space. But space itself, you cannot point a beginning and end. Very similar to space is Brahman consciousness. It is infinite. Yeah? You cannot even think about infinite. Even if you go to think about infinite, there is still a form in the mind. You still have some kind of a limit in your mind, a very big, huge bubble. But you're imagining a bubble. So imagining a form. But infinite means formless. It cannot even be imagined. It is pure, unmodified, undifferentiated. Unmodified and undifferentiated, why is this stressed here? Because we think there is modification. No, this is a tree, this is a human, this is an object, a non-living object. We have differentiated it. But it is undifferentiated, it is unmodified. It is all but one. For example, you express yourself through words, that is speech, yeah, through actions, yeah, or through emotions, through dance. You have separated all these things into different categories, yeah, but finally when you look at it from your perspective, I am only expressing through dance, through song, through speech, or through my eyes, or through my emotions. So from my perspective, it is just one. It's just Ekta expressing through these different mediums. But for somebody else who is watching Ekta, he either sees the dance or he sees the particular song happening, or he perceives the speech, or he perceives the emotion. So the person who is outside differentiates and categorizes. The person who is inside just expresses. This is very subtle what I'm saying, if you're getting it. From my perspective, it is just expression, it is just a flow. From the perceiver's perspective, it is either a song, or it is speech, or it is dance. Yeah. So from my perspective, there is really no differentiation. Yeah, like that only. From the perspective of Brahman consciousness, there is really no tree and animal and human and non-living object. It is all one. It is all but an expression of that consciousness. That's it. And that is known as Vastu Tattvam, or reality. That exists as space in space, sound in sound, touch in touch, skin in skin, taste as taste, form as form, eyes as sight, smell as smell, scent as scent, body as strength, in earth as earth, in milk as milk, in wind as wind, in fire as fire, in intelligence as intelligence, in mind as mind, and in the ego sense as ego sense. Why is he telling you all these things? Just like I said that all my different forms of expression are all Ekta only. Ekta is only dancing here. Here Ekta is only singing. Here Ekta is only talking. Here Ekta is only expressing emotions. So it is all Ekta is only existing in the dance, in the song, in speech, in the emotions, in every form of expression. It is Ekta only. Correct?
It is just like the Bhagavad Gita. I am Vasudeva I am Vishnu amongst the Suryas. It is the same thing. I am Arjuna amongst the Pandavas.
Beautiful. Yes, absolutely. It rises as chitta or mind in the mind. It is tree in tree. It is immobility in the immovable. For example, in trees, in plants, they are immovable. Yeah, in objects, the sofa, the board, these are immovable. The immobility in immovable is also the consciousness expressing itself. And it is mobility in the moving beings. It is insentience in the insentient. And intelligence in the sentient. Sentient means that which can be perceived. Yeah? And that which can be perceived, it is the intelligence. This part is easy to understand. But that which cannot be perceived, for example, we speak about devas. Yeah? They are all around here. But they are not perceived by my eyes. I cannot see, I cannot hear them, I cannot smell them. Yeah? I cannot touch the devas. But they are all around me. Yeah? That formlessness of that realm of existence of the devas, that is also the Brahman consciousness, the insentience in the insentient. It is the divinity of gods and humanity in human beings. In animals, it is bestial nature, and in worms, it is wormhood. This is very interesting that in an animal, there is this nature of hunting and killing. From where did that come? That is also the Brahman consciousness. The Brahman consciousness is not just the positive things, your so-called positive things. Yeah? Brahman consciousness is also your so-called negative things. Why am I saying so-called? Because it is in my head, no? This is positive and this is negative. For God it is perfect economy. Yeah, he thinks, okay, how do I run this creation? Okay, let a rat be eaten by a cat, let a cat be eaten by a fox, let a fox be eaten by a lion. Good, scavenging method. Yeah, this is the way I run my creation. He created everything in a proper systematic way. Yeah, so if somebody is loving and compassionate and somebody is not, then this becomes right and wrong. But that is from my perspective. Yeah, I might be a little animal. Yeah, a little squirrel. A squirrel is very afraid of a big animal. Yeah, but a squirrel will like another pretty cute squirrel with it. Yeah, this is just from our perspective that we weigh things as good and bad, right and wrong. Yeah, from that higher level, there is nothing good and bad, right and wrong. That is why he is also that bestial nature. Yeah, and he is the worm in the wormhood. In the worms, he is wormhood. It is the very essence of time and the seasons. It is the dynamism in action and order in order. Here order is niyati. Yeah? How everything runs according to cause, effect, cause, effect, cause, effect. This is an order of the creation. Yeah? And it runs in that particular order only. Morning leads to afternoon, afternoon leads to evening, evening leads to night, night again leads to morning. There is no flaw in the order. It will flow perfectly like that. Yeah? If you do good, you will get good merit. If you do bad, you will get bad merit. There is no flaw in the order. Yeah? There is no right and there is no wrong. It is almost mechanical. Yeah? For example, a machine works. When a machine works, it works. It's just mechanical. It just does its job. Yeah? Niyati just brings to us what is due to us mechanically. Yes? And that which Niyati brings to us is the order. And Niyati itself is also order. Yeah? The order in order is the Brahman consciousness. It is existence in the existent and death in the perishable. It is childhood, youth and age and also death. It is undivided and indivisible, for it is the very essence of all things. Diversity is unreal, though it is real in the above sense that the diversity is conceived of and pervaded by the infinite consciousness. Yeah? Just like in the dream, I start dreaming that I have wings and I start flying, and all that starts seeming very, very real, but actually it is just an illusion of my mind. It is not real. But I perceive it as real. Just like that, everything here is perceived as real, but it is unreal. And this is exactly the basis on which the next story begins. That all this is unreal. Yeah, we'll come to the story now. Realize all this is pervaded by me, for I am omnipresent and devoid of body and such other limitation, and dwell in peace and supreme happiness. Clear? Let's move on to the story which begins on page 275 now.
Ektaji, one question. If there's no right or wrong, how is that good or bad? And how is Niyati saying that, okay, this is bad and this, there should be this consequence, or this is good and it should be this consequence?
Niyati does not say good and bad. I say good and bad. Niyati never says this is good karma and this is good merit. Niyati says if you do this, the same effect will come back to you. Exactly same. That's it. That's all Niyati is saying. So now good and bad I have labeled. No. If I do good, that means good merit will come back to me. But I have labeled this. Niyati does not say that. Niyati says the same will come back to you. There is no good and bad. There is no right and wrong. Yeah, this has been created by man. Yeah, even Rumi has said, beyond the realm of right and wrong, there is a field. I will meet you there. Yeah. Right and wrong is only in our head. Yes, that also only in the humans. Yeah, and not even in the first human life. In the first human life, you don't have the sense of right and wrong. Slowly, with many more human lives, conditioning happens with being with other humans. So other humans say this is right and this is wrong. Slowly from birth to birth to birth, this conditioning of right and wrong increases. Yeah? And when you start walking on the spiritual path, you realize, oh, there is nothing like right and wrong. It is same. If I do this, exactly the same effect will come back to me. It does not matter whether it is right or wrong or good or bad, happy, sad. It doesn't matter to Niyati. Niyati does not look at it like that. For Niyati, it is mathematics. Simple, plain mathematics. You give one, you get one back. Yeah? You give two, you get two back. You snatch one, Niyati snatches one back. But because of your attachment, you feel that Niyati snatched 10 times more. But really Niyati does not snatch 10 times more, or Niyati doesn't even give you 10 times more. Plain simple mathematics. How much you take, that much you are given. How much you give, that much is taken. Got it? It's all about credit and debit. That's it. Yeah? There is no right and no wrong. Everything just is. This was one of the beautiful things that Buddha also taught. Reality is. You be with what is. What is. Don't judge it saying it is right or wrong or good or bad. It is what it is. Yeah, but this is a slightly higher level. We'll get there slowly.
Even Ashtavakra said, huh?
Even
Dharmas become
yes.
Manasani the David.
Yeah, we've done this in Ashtavakra Gita also. Yeah, dharma, what is dharma and what is adharma? This is all of the mind. Yeah, it's written in all scriptures if you want to really go looking for it. Yeah, but it should be your experience. Yeah, scriptures say you learn, you forget. But when it is your own experience, oh, it is not about right and wrong. Yeah, it is what you do that will come back to you. That's why in Christianity it is as you sow, so shall you reap. They didn't say you sow positive seeds, you'll get positive, your negative seeds. They didn't go to good and bad or right and wrong or positive and negative. As you sow, so shall you reap. Clear?
I have one. So, like, it's very hard to not categorize, right? Like, every little thing, every little experience we have to put it in one bucket. Meditation good, not good. You know, Kriya good, not good. Khana acha tha, nahi tha. You know, this restaurant is good, it has become it. I think with the exercise that you gave for seeking, if you generalize that exercise to how much we put categories to everything, like sometimes you can't go to sleep if you don't categorize your day. Was it a good day or a bad day?
So I should really give you this homework. Can you just be with whatever happens throughout the day without judging it, whether it is good or bad? This has to be a practice. This will not happen very easily. Why? Because we've gone through n number of human lifetimes since we got this intellect, and the job of this intellect was to discriminate between right and wrong, good and bad. So now we took one step further. The job was only to discriminate between right and wrong, good and bad. So I don't do something bad, because bad will come back to me. Same comes, no? That's all it was for. But what did I start doing? I started judging everything. Not only my actions, but I started judging somebody passing on the road. Unnecessarily, the mind started talking. Yes, that's why we have a mind which is all scattered. Animals don't have that problem. Why? Because of the misuse of the intellect. The job of the intellect is only to tell you, if you sow this, this is what you will reap. So if you want to reap good, just do the good and stop. It is only where action is concerned. But then I started labeling people good and bad. I started labeling seasons good and bad. Seasons are not going to change by my labels. Other people are not going to change by my labels. Unnecessarily, my mind is going on and on and on. Yeah? All I'm supposed to label is my current action and see whether this action will lead me into the direction I want to go. Yeah, if I want bad fruits in life, I can do bad action. That should be a choice. Yeah, but be aware of what your choices are. But that's where intellect needs to stop. So observe yourself. You're unnecessarily judging. Unnecessarily. Yeah? Somebody is passing by on the street. You're judging, oh, that blue t-shirt doesn't look good on this person. If the person had worn a pink t-shirt, should have looked better. Unnecessary. It was not required. Yeah? You're watching TV, see constant judgment while watching TV. It's not contributing to your life or to your spiritual growth in any way. It is in fact increasing the samskaras that get deposited in your sands of consciousness. These samskaras will bear fruit in future. Yeah, in the form of unnecessary stuff coming up. Like if you see a nonsense fight or action scene or some ghost on TV, what will happen? In the night, you will wake up sweating because of a nightmare. Yeah, karma samskara got deposited, and in the night, that samskara's time was to sprout. And then I had to bear the fruit of that action. And I'm stuck in this cycle of birth and death because of unnecessary judgment of the intellect. So observe, this judging has become a mechanical habit. And why has it become mechanical? Because I have become a slave to it. I have become like its robotic machine, and it is playing me. It has the remote control. It's time to take the remote control back into your hands. Yeah? Intellect is a tool given to me so that I can differentiate between what kind of karma I want to do and in which direction I want to take my life. That's it. The judgment should stop at my karma. The unnecessary going on in the head of constant chitter chatter is only unnecessary karma samskaras. Are you seeing what I'm saying? Yeah. So observe this. This is your homework number 1. Yeah. You are constantly judging, and drop this nonsense judging, which is not required. At least become aware I'm doing this nonsense judging. Yeah. You've cooked food. You have made whatever dal, rice, pizza, paratha, whatever, Maggi. You don't have any other option. That's all you have. And still you're judging. It's bad, it's bad. You have to eat. You don't have an option. You're going on saying it's bad, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad, and still eating because you really don't have an option and you're hungry. What sense does this make? You know what this does really? Your thought leads to action. Like that only Buddha taught. Your thought leads to the creation of this body. If you're saying the food is bad, that food when it goes inside, it does not give nutrition to your body. And when you appreciate the food, you look at the food, you're aware of what you are eating, and you're grateful for the food, that food will really provide nutrition. And he proved it. He's really a scientist. So if you remember during the Buddha weekend, I taught you about kalapas. Yeah, so he also dissected how kalapas are created. Kalapas are nothing but earth, water, fire, ether, air in each atom of this physical body. And they are created by nutrition or nutriment is what he called it. Yeah? They are created by thought. If I keep thinking that, oh, I am fat, I will start growing more kalapas and I'll really become fat. Yeah, you don't believe it? Experiment it and see. For 1 month, hypnotize yourself, I'm fat. At the end of the month, definitely you will be higher by 3-4 pounds. Huh? It is very true. Buddha has proved this, that thought affects this kalapas or earth, water, fire, ether, air combination in the atoms of this body. Like that only thought affects this body. Yeah. So judging also affects you a lot, not just at the body level, at the consciousness level. Yeah. So recognize that I do this. If you really do this, you need to work on yourself. Your intellect is running loose. Yeah. You need to really pull its reins. Yeah? Good? Let's read ahead.
I can read. Vasistha continued. In the self, which is the infinite consciousness, this creation appears but momentarily. During that moment itself, the illusory notion that it is of a very long duration arises. The creation then appears to be solidly real. In this connection, I shall narrate a legend to you, O Rama. There once lived a mendicant who was devoted to meditation. His mind, having been purified by such meditation, came to possess the power to materialize its thoughts. One day, being tired of continuous meditation, yet having his mind fully concentrated, he thought of doing something. He fancied both as one who was illiterate and of a non-Brahmana family. Instantly, he had become, as it were, a tribesman. There arose in him the feeling, I am Jivata. This dream being roamed for some time in the city, also built of dream objects. One day he got drunk and slept. He dreamt that he was a Brahmana endowed with knowledge of the scriptures. While he was living a righteous life, one day this Brahmana dreamt that he was a powerful king. He dreamt that he was a mighty emperor of unequaled glory. One day he indulged in royal pleasures and after that slept and dreamt of a celestial nymph. Similarly, this nymph one day dreamt that she was a deer, and this deer dreamt that it was a creeper. Surely even animals behold dreams, for such is the nature of the mind which can recollect what has been seen and what has been heard. The deer became a creeper. The inner intelligence in the creeper saw in its own heart a bee. It became a bee, and the bee began to drink the nectar in the flowers on the creeper. It became attached to the nectar in one of those flowers, surely for its own destruction. At night, an elephant approached this creeper and plucked it, along with the bee, and crushed it in its mouth. However, the bee, having seen the elephant, contemplated the elephant and became an elephant. The elephant was captured by a king. One day it saw a hive of bees, and on account of the memory of its own past birth, it became a bee. It began to drink the nectar of the flowers in wild creepers. It became a creeper. The creeper was destroyed by an elephant, but because the creeper had seen swans in the nearby lake, it became a swan. One day this swan was roaming in the company of many other swans. While the mendicant was meditating upon the swan, he was overcome by death. His consciousness therefore became embodied in the swan.
Continue. You can continue. The story continues on the next page.
Okay. Vasistha continued. That swan once beheld Lord Rudra, and in its heart there arose the conviction, I am Rudra. Instantly it abandoned its body as swan and became Rudra. And that Rudra dwelt in the abode of Rudra. However, since Rudra was endowed with true knowledge, he remembered all that had taken place. Rudra recollected thus, Behold, how mysterious is this Maya, which deludes all the worlds. Though it is unreal, it appears to be real. First of all, in that infinite consciousness, which was myself, there arose the mind with objective consciousness, though yet cosmic and omniscient. Then accidentally, I happened to be the jiva, which felt attracted to and charmed by the finest part of the cosmic elements. Therefore, during a certain creation cycle, I became the mendicant who remained totally unagitated. He was able to overcome all distractions and remain immersed in the practice of contemplation. However, every subsequent action is more powerful than a previous act. The mendicant considered himself Jivata, and so did he become. After that, he bethought he was a Brahmana. Surely the more powerful thought form overwhelms the weaker one. Then, in course of time and on account of persistent contemplation, he became a king. Surely, water imbibed by the plant becomes its fruit. Associated with royal pleasures are nymphs. Contemplating them, the king became a nymph. Purely on account of infatuation, this nymph became a deer. The deer became a creeper, which was obsessed with the idea that it would be pierced and a hole would be made. Contemplating the bee, it became a bee, which then pierced a hole in the creeper. The bee became an elephant. I am Rudra, who has been a Rudra during the past 100 creation cycle. And I roam this world appearance, which is nothing more than a psychological delusion. In one creation cycle, I was Jivata. In another, I was the Brahmana. In another, I was the king. And in yet another, I was the swan. Thus have I been revolving in this wheel known as the mind and the body. It is eons since I slipped from the Supreme Self or infinite consciousness. Soon after that, I was that mendicant who was still endowed with knowledge of the truth. Then after passing through very many incarnations, through the grace I happened to behold, I have become Rudra. When the jiva by koinor vasana tendencies turn away. This happens to that person who constantly longs for such contact with an enlightened person. Such constant longing or abhyasa itself materializes and becomes an accomplished fact.
Continue.
Surely it is because of one's inner conviction, this body is myself, that this unreal perception expands. If one were to inquire into its true nature, one would find that nothing remained. Enough of even such inquiry, which leads to nothing. This world is an optical illusion like the blueness of the sky. It is ignorance. Enough of even this effort to purify that ignorance. If this world appearance, which is unreal, continues to appear, let it. It can do no harm. I shall retrace the chain of imaginary transformations and restore their underlying unity. Vasistha continued. Thus having resolved, Rudra went to where the body of the mendicant lay. He awakened it and inspired it to remember all that had taken place. The mendicant saw Rudra as his own self and also recollected all that had happened. Then both of them went to where Jivata lived in the same infinite consciousness. They revived his body. The three were indeed one. These three, who were wonderstruck at this mystery, then proceeded to the place of the Brahmana who was asleep, embraced by his wife. They awakened his consciousness. Then they went to where the king was asleep in his royal bedchamber, surrounded by nymphs. They awakened his intelligence too. He too was amazed at the realization of the truth. Thus they went to where the swan lived, the swan that became Rudra. They roamed the world of the 100 Rudra of the past. They realized that it was all one infinite consciousness in which all these diverse illusory events had apparently taken place. The one form had become many, as it were. These 100 Rudra pervaded the entire universe and were omnipresent. On account of the fact that the jiva is surrounded on all sides by the world that arises from it, the unawakened jiva do not see one another, do not understand one another. Just as all waves are of the same substance and are therefore one, the awakened jiva realize their oneness and thus understand one another. Each jiva has its own illusory world appearance. However, even as one finds empty space wherever one digs the ground, when this world appearance of the jiva is inquired into, it invariably leads to the same infinite consciousness. Differentiated consciousness is bondage. Liberation is its absence. Whatever pleases you, affirm that and be firm in that. There is no difference between the two, for awareness is the same in both. Who will bemoan the loss of what exists only in ignorance? That which is gained by being still exists already and has therefore already been gained.
Okay. Got it? This is very similar to the pool of consciousness process that we keep doing in so many weekend sessions. Yeah. One birth leads to the next. Next birth leads to the next. Yeah. Here he uses the word, the creeper dreams of the bee, and then the bee dreams of the elephant dreams of the king. All these dreams is nothing but that concept in the mind, conditioning of the mind. Yeah? My ragas and my dveshas. Yeah? The creeper just, even it's a creeper, and even that feels like, oh, there's going to be a hole that will happen and something will pierce in, and the bee really pierces in. It's so amazing. Whatever you think, that manifests in your life. Whether it is positive or it is negative. Yeah? You could, like the mendicant felt very happy and started imagining that he was born in a non-Brahmana family. A different kind of life. Yeah? That was out of probably a raga. Yeah? But a creeper imagining there's going to be a hole in it is out of a dvesha. Yeah? So recognize it. We have these conditionings of ragas and dveshas. And these conditionings, concepts, ideas, illusions, whatever, are all under that one umbrella of what Vasistha calls dreams. Clear? Homework number 2 for you. Do you still have lots of ragas and dveshas? Make that list again and really sincerely start working on it now. Yeah, this is one dvesha of mine, or this is one raga of mine. I need to work on this, because a raga or dvesha that I hold on to leads to the next birth. If I don't want to get caught up in this cycle of birth and death and birth and death, I really need to awaken myself. The way Rudra went and awakened all his past lives. This is a story. Yeah? But this will really happen when you meditate. When you go into your deepest meditations, yeah, you can actually start observing your past lives. They come to you just like a memory from your childhood would come to you. Yeah? Like when you were a kid and mom took away something, your doll, telling you must eat. Suddenly the memory comes to you. All these years you didn't remember such a small little incident that happened. But she took away my doll. She took away my doll. That raga for the doll and the dvesha for mom taking it away from me, that sat somewhere in your consciousness. 20, 30 years you didn't remember. Suddenly that memory comes back. Correct? That means that seed is there somewhere. Like that only, all my previous lifetimes, I have created seeds. These seeds are embedded in my consciousness. And suddenly, when you are very open in meditation, the mind is very calm and relaxed. And you are in that moment of deep nothingness, emptiness. You can stumble into your past life and observe those seeds come up, those memories come up, and you can recognize, oh, so by you going automatically into your past life, it's like awakening that Ekta, whoever she was in the past life. And like that you can go back into your previous several lives. This happens in the highest state of samadhi, and it is very, very possible. So this is a very beautiful story, narrated in a very beautiful way, to actually tell you that through your own meditation, you can go into your past lives and awaken those people, whoever you were in your past life. Whether you were an elephant or a bee or an ant or a creeper or really a sage sitting and meditating somewhere, whether you were Rudra or a king or a nymph, doesn't matter who you were. They all get awakened means you're not physically awakening them, of course, yeah, but you can observe all your past lives in meditation. Yeah. So what we do, the past life process, it happens to some people, it doesn't happen to some people. This is the reason. If you have touched that stillness, you've been meditating for a while, it opens up if somebody helps you. Yeah? So in the past life process, you have a teacher that helps you. But you can do a past life regression on your own also, when you go into that deepest of meditation. Yeah? And that is the process of really awakening yourself. Once you have that experience, then you are not so attached to this body, because you know it is just one of the many bodies that I have had. So once the attachment for this body drops, the attachment to that which is of the body drops. Whether it is relatives or things or houses, money, car, all that drops. The attachment to I is something that is very subtle. Yeah? At the gross level, the I, which is the body, I, which is the mind, or I, which is that intellect, all drops. You recognize, oh, I am that energy that is moving through these bodies. I am beyond these bodies. That can only be experienced. How much ever you read from here or you listen to somebody else's experience, it will not help you. It is just an inspiration from Vasistha that he's told us about this story. Yeah, you take it as an inspiration and go deeper into your meditation. Yeah, observe what doesn't let you go deeper is your own raga or dvesha. I have to get up and do the laundry, or I have to finish that work. Yeah? Or she said this, he said this. My own raga or dvesha prevents me from going deeper into meditation. But the day I become very silent, I am ready to drop the raga and dvesha, that silence within will take me through my previous lifetimes. And just that recognition, oh, I have been in so many bodies, that's sufficient. Job is done. There's nothing more left to do. Yeah? That is what this story is really about. Yeah? We don't need to read the whole story again. Yeah? I'll read the most important part on this last page that we read. On account of the fact that the jiva is surrounded on all sides by the world that arises from it, the unawakened jiva do not see one another, do not understand one another. Just as all waves are of the same substance and are therefore one, the awakened jiva realize their oneness and thus understand one another. Yeah? So, this you can understand in the way you started on the spiritual path. Some of your friends who went to the same college with you, same school with you, grew up with you, same kind of background, but they didn't start on the spiritual path. So somewhere a disconnect happened with them. Correct? You experience that disconnect. How much ever you tell them you must walk the spiritual path, they find you all weird and different, unproductive, not ambitious enough. Yeah? And they are the so-called successful people of the world. Yeah? So this disconnect has happened between you and them. Yeah? That is a similar kind of thing that you can put here. Yeah? What happens when you become awakened, and what happens to the unawakened ones? On account of the fact that the jiva is surrounded on all sides by the world that arises from it. Arises from it means, this is all my dream. Ekta dreamt this house. Ekta dreamt about Aditya. Ekta dreamt about this city, this country. So all that is around me, my world has arisen from me. Got it? So, is surrounded on all sides by the world that arises from it. The unawakened jiva do not see one another, do not understand one another. But just like waves or drops of water are made of the same substance, they start understanding one another. Yeah? That similar kind of experience that you have with your spiritual friends. Yeah? Now, take it one notch higher. When you get to that awakened level, there is a different level of connection. There's a different level of understanding. There is no need for words. That is why, if you must have seen really keenly, when two gurus meet, there is no need for talk. There is no need for discussion. Yeah? Their eyes speak. Yeah? The smile, the namaste is good enough. The bowing down is good enough. There is no need of debate. Where does intellectual debate happen? In the unawakened ones. The unawakened ones are still stuck at the mind and the intellect level. The awakened ones have risen to a higher level. And when you rise to that higher level, you recognize the futility of mind and intellect and words that seem so crass, nonsensical. Yeah, that's a different level of existence. If you really have to strive for something, no, strive for that, guys. If you really want to be ambitious, you have this fire in the belly, stop running after this money and name and fame and relationships. You want to run after that awakened state. At least you'll run in the right direction. Yeah. After a point, you'll realize there's no need to run. The train is moving anyways. Yeah. And the day you sit down in that train, that is the day you will really go deep into the silence of yourself. Yeah. And when you reach that awakened state, just like drops of water, they just merge and become one. They don't need to meet or say hi or talk. That higher level of connection happens between the awakened ones. Each jiva has its own illusory world appearance. However, even as one finds empty space wherever one digs the ground, when this world appearance of this jiva is inquired into, it invariably leads to the same infinite consciousness. Most important thing here, inquired into. Homework number 3. Have you started your journey of self-inquiry? Or are you still stuck in cooking food for family, cleaning the house, running for groceries, getting a good job? Or is all this only still predominant in your life, or has that inner journey taken predominance? Check. Have you started your journey of self-inquiry yet? Differentiated consciousness is bondage. Liberation is its absence. Differentiated consciousness, where I keep seeing people, situations, things, and I keep labeling that what you were talking about, intellect, judging, right, wrong, good, bad. This is all differentiated consciousness. When I drop what is, and just be in that witnessing consciousness. Yeah? Just be. No labeling, no chit-chat, no right, no wrong, no good, no bad. Absolute silence here. Yeah? When that absolute silence happens here, that is liberation. Enlightenment is as simple as that. Yeah? God is as simple as that. Yeah? When you achieve liberation, you will realize, oh, it was always with me. Yeah? God was always with me. Yeah? I was the one sitting with eyes closed. It is not something really to be achieved. It is already there. Yeah? I just need to look within. That's it. I'm looking in the wrong direction. Whatever pleases you, affirm that and be firm in that. There is no difference between the two. For awareness is the same in both. What both? Yeah, whether I see this creation as creation, take care, be into that 100%. Or be into the self 100%. My problem is I have one foot outside and one foot inside. I want this also, I want this also, and that's why I'm stuck. Isn't that happening to you? You want everything in the material world also, and you want the spiritual growth also. Yeah? Either be firmly here outside, in Maya, in ignorance, or you be firmly inside. Yeah? You check, where are you lost? There is no difference between the two, for awareness is the same in both. Who will bemoan the loss of what exists only in the ignorance? That which is gained by being still exists already and has therefore already been gained. Yeah? When Buddha came back to his wife after a few years after enlightenment, she asked him, what you attained could not be attained here? He said, yes, it could have been attained here. Actually, there is really nothing to attain. It is already there. I was just not looking. Yeah? It has already been gained. There is really nothing to gain. And the ambitious one on the spiritual path runs, and realizes, oh, there is nothing to gain. That's when you stop running inside that dream. That's when you sit down. I don't know if you're getting this, but most of us are still running. We are either running with the scriptures thinking I'm going to gain something, or we are running with meditation, more courses. Yeah, let me do this also, let me do that also, let me become Art of Living teacher also. Running. We feel there is something to gain on the spiritual path. But this is a misunderstanding. This is not a game of winning anything. Yeah? It is a game of losing. You have to lose the I, a big fat I. When you lose the I, you will realize there was really nothing to gain. So last homework for you. Do you have the guts to lose I, a big fat I? Not last homework. One more after that. Read this story again. Yeah? This story is, I know most of it is just story, but go through it slowly, very slowly, and really put yourself in that feet of that mendicant. You become the bee, you become the elephant. You know, read it slowly, imagining yourself going through these lifetimes. Okay? Any questions? So everybody read the story again, yeah. And if there is something that, mark it and ask me next time. Okay? Yeah, there are bits and pieces of knowledge in between the story. Yeah, like one very simple thing is there. However, every subsequent action is more powerful than a previous act. That's a punch. Yeah? So these are very important points. So come up with these points, yeah, and then we'll discuss next week. Okay, I don't need to read the whole story again. You tell me which line you want me to discuss and we'll discuss that. All good?
It's just amazing the way the story is written, and while he was reading it, you sort of start visualizing everything in your own way. And if you think just among our group, everybody has different visuals. So we have already started making these dreams. And if you take that one step higher, all this is happening is actually a dream. Somebody seeing from a bird's eye perspective. So it already makes you feel like it's a dream within the dream.
Yeah.
Just visualizing and reading the story itself.
Beautiful, beautiful. Awesome, Rupa. Okay. Anybody else wants to share something? No? All good? Chalo. I'll see you next week. Jai Gurudev.